First Contact's Shadow. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck of Europa Station 1, her dark eyes fixed on Jupiter's swirling storms in the distance. The massive gas giant's presence had become familiar over the past 3 years, but today something felt different. The routine survey of Europa's subsurface ocean had detected an anomaly, one that defied every natural explanation. "Commander, you need to see this." Dr. James Walker's voice crackled through her comm unit. The chief scientist's usually calm demeanor had an edge to it that made Elena's pulse quicken. In the research hub, holographic displays showed a 3-dimensional map of Europa's ice crust. A structure, perfectly geometric and undeniably artificial, sat embedded within the ice at a depth of 2 kilometers. Its metal surfaces reflected their probe's scanning beams with impossible precision. "It's been here all along," James whispered, his dark fingers tracing the structure's outline in the air. "We've just never had instruments sensitive enough to detect it through the ice layers." Before Elena could respond, every screen in the station flickered simultaneously. The structure had begun emitting energy signatures unlike anything in their databases. Through the station's windows, they watched as the ice above the location began to glow with an eerie blue light. On the other side of the solar system, high observer Nalix of the Galactic Assembly felt their crystalline form vibrate with anxiety. The observation post on Europa had maintained perfect secrecy for over 1,000 years, monitoring humanity's development from a safe distance. Now, their energy containment systems were failing, and the humans' primitive but remarkably effective instruments had detected them. "Status report," came the Assembly's command through their quantum link. "The humans have discovered our presence," Nalix responded, their crystalline thoughts fragmenting with concern. "Their technological progress has exceeded all projections. They shouldn't have been capable of detecting us for at least another century." The silence that followed lasted precisely 3.7 seconds. "Initiate contact protocols," the Assembly ordered. "We can no longer maintain passive observation." Back on Europa Station 1, Elena had ordered all non-essential personnel to the emergency shelters. Her remaining team worked frantically to understand the growing energy signatures emanating from the alien structure. Dr. Mai Lin, their quantum physicist, hadn't left her instruments for hours. "These patterns," Mai said, brushing her silver-streaked hair from her face, "they're not random. It's a language. Mathematics in its purest form." The structure's glow had intensified, creating patterns in the ice that matched the mathematical sequences appearing on their screens. It was beautiful, terrifying, and impossible to ignore. "They want to talk," Elena realized, her heart racing with equal parts fear and excitement. Humanity had searched the stars for signs of intelligent life for centuries, and now they were about to make first contact in their own solar system. The Assembly's emergency session was in chaos. Species from 1,000 worlds argued about how to handle the situation. Humanity's development curve was nearly vertical, achieving in decades what took most species millennia. "They're dangerous," warned Representative Zix, their gelatinous form pulsing with agitation. "Their history is filled with conflict, yet they advance faster during wars than in peace. It defies all known patterns of civilization." "They're remarkable," countered Ambassador Teller, their holographic form shimmering. "No other species has achieved spaceflight while still fighting among themselves. Their chaos drives innovation rather than destroying it." High Observer Nalix's report only increased the Assembly's concerns. Humans had already begun analyzing the mathematical patterns with an efficiency that bordered on impossible. They were adapting to the concept of alien life with surprising speed, their fear seemingly overshadowed by curiosity and excitement. On Europa, Elena made a decision that would change human history. Against standard protocol, she authorized Dr. Lin to respond to the alien signals using the same mathematical language. Their message was simple: humanity was ready for contact. The ice above the alien structure began to crack, sending tremors through the station. Emergency systems activated automatically, but Elena ordered them disabled. This wasn't an attack. It was an invitation. As the structure emerged from its icy tomb, its surface reflecting Jupiter's light like liquid metal, Elena thought about how humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to adapt, to face the unknown with determination rather than fear. What the assembly saw as dangerous chaos, humans understood as the driving force of progress. The first official contact between humanity and the Galactic Assembly was about to begin, but neither side fully understood how this meeting would reshape the galaxy. The Assembly feared humanity's unpredictable nature, while humanity stood ready to embrace a future they had dreamed of for generations. As Elena prepared to meet the first alien representatives, she couldn't know that Earth's admission into the galactic community would trigger the greatest political crisis the Assembly have faced in millennia. Humanity's greatest trial and triumph was about to begin. The assessment. The Assembly's diplomatic vessel emerged from hyperspace near Europa Station 1, its crystalline surface refracting Jupiter's light in impossible patterns. Inside, lead diplomat Venra studied the human files one final time, their four-lobed brain processing information simultaneously through multiple neural pathways. Something about these beings troubled them deeply. Their response patterns make no sense. Venra communicated to their aide, Helix. When they detected our outpost, their first reaction should have been fear, followed by military mobilization. Instead, they responded with mathematics and deactivated their defensive systems. Helix's bioluminescent patterns shifted in agreement. Perhaps they're trying to deceive us. No, Venra's secondary brain clusters pulsed with certainty. That's what makes them so dangerous. They're genuine. On Europa Station 1, Elena Rodriguez and her team had transformed the main conference room into a first contact venue. Dr. Walker had created holographic displays showing humanity's scientific achievements, while Dr. Lin continued analyzing the alien mathematical communications, making breakthroughs that should have taken months and mere hours. They're deliberately using complex quantum equations, May explained, excitement making her hands shake, not just as a language, but as a test. They want to see how quickly we can understand and respond. Elena nodded, understanding the implications. Then let's show them exactly what humanity can do. The assembly vessel docked with a precision that made the station's engineers watch in awe. As the airlock cycled, Elena straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. Behind her, the small team of Earth's best minds waited with barely contained excitement. Then Ray entered first, their crystalline form shifting colors in response to the station's lighting. Behind them came representatives from three other species. Helix with their bioluminescent patterns, a gaseous being named Zor-Ith contained within an energy field, and a quantum state entity called MX, whose form seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. Welcome to Europa Station 1. Elena stepped forward, speaking clearly. We are honored to make humanity's first official contact with galactic civilization. The alien's universal translator converted her words, but Venra was more interested in what the humans weren't saying. Their instruments detected elevated heart rates indicating excitement rather than fear, pupil dilations suggesting intense curiosity, and brain activity patterns that defied standard models. We represent the Galactic Assembly, Venra responded, their crystalline form producing perfect English through some mechanism the human scientists were already trying to understand. We have been observing your species' development. Dr. Walker couldn't contain himself. How long have you been watching us? The structure's position in the ice suggests at least 1,000 years, but the molecular degradation patterns indicate. James, Elena cut him off gently, but Venra had already noted how quickly the humans had analyzed their observation post's age. Most species took years to develop such detailed scanning capabilities. The meeting proceeded with an exchange of scientific and cultural information, but it was really an elaborate assessment. The assembly representatives watched as the humans grasped complex concepts with disturbing speed, asked questions that revealed dangerous levels of insight, and displayed an enthusiasm that bordered on reckless. Your species has achieved faster than light travel. Dr. Lin asked, studying the assembly vessel's specifications with intense interest. Through quantum fold technology, Kilix answered, their patterns shifting in what might have been discomfort. Most species require several thousand years of development before attempting such advancement. Several thousand, James whispered, his mind already racing with possibilities. We've been working on quantum fold theory for decades. We just haven't had the right materials. Venra noticed how the other humans shot warning glances at James, not out of fear, but from some shared understanding. They were already protecting their technological development plans, showing a level of unified purpose that shouldn't have been possible in such an individualistic species. As the first day of contact drew to a close, the assembly representatives withdrew to their vessel for private consultation. The humans' performance had exceeded their worst fears. They're already analyzing our technology. Zor-Ith's gaseous form swirled with agitation. Did you see how their quantum physicist was studying our drive signatures? It's their adaptation rate that concerns me. Nymphs existed in 3 places at once, their quantum state reflecting their anxiety. They're not just learning from us. They're innovating based on partial information. No species should be capable of such intuitive leaps. Venra's crystal structure pulsed with dark colors. We need to contact the assembly immediately. The humans' development must be contained, or they'll achieve technological parity with us within decades rather than millennia. But even as they prepared their report, the humans were proving their fears justified. In the station's research lab, Madeline had already begun correlating the assembly vessel's quantum signatures with Earth's theoretical models of space-time manipulation. "Elena," she called out, her voice trembling with excitement, "I think I know how their FTL drive works. The principles are similar to what we've been developing, just far more elegant. With this data, we could have a prototype within 5 years." Elena looked at the complex equations floating in the holographic display, a smile playing at her corners of her mouth. The assembly thought they were conducting an assessment of humanity, but they didn't realize humanity was studying them just as intently. The next phase of contact would reveal just how unprepared the galaxy was for humanity's unique approach to advancement, and how humanity's greatest strength might also be what the assembly feared most: hidden agendas. 3 weeks after first contact, Europa Station 1 had become the center of a complex diplomatic dance. The original research station had expanded, with new modules added to accommodate the growing number of alien delegations arriving daily. But beneath the surface of diplomatic pleasantries, multiple currents of intrigue swirled like Jupiter's storms. Elena Rodriguez stood in her new office, watching holographic displays of 6 simultaneous first contact meetings. Different alien species, each claiming to represent various galactic factions, all suddenly eager to establish relations with humanity. The Assembly's initial diplomatic team watched these new arrivals with barely concealed concern. "They're dividing into factions," Dr. Walker observed, his expert eyes noting patterns in the alien delegation's behaviors. "Some seem almost eager to share technology, while others advocate for restricting our access to galactic knowledge." "It's not that simple," Elena replied, remembering her private conversation with Venra the previous day. The crystalline diplomat had seemed troubled, their color patterns showing signs of internal conflict. "There's something they're not telling us about why Earth is suddenly so important." In the station's quantum physics lab, Dr. Lin had made another breakthrough. The new quantum computer they'd developed using insights from alien technology had just finished its first major analysis. The results made her blood run cold. "Commander, you need to see this immediately." May's voice carried an urgency that made Elena leave her office at a run. The lab's main display showed a complex map of technological development curves across multiple species. Earth's line shot upward, at an angle that made the alien patterns look almost flat in comparison. "This can't be right," James whispered, but Mai was already shaking her head. "I've run the calculations 12 times. Based on historical data from the Assembly's records, humanity is developing technology at least 50 times faster than any known species. But that's not the concerning part." She pulled up another dataset, this one showing neural adaptation rates. We're learning and adapting to new concepts at an exponential rate. The assembly's presence isn't just teaching us about their technology. It's actually accelerating our development. On the assembly vessel, Venra faced a crisis of their own. The latest data confirmed their worst fears. Humans weren't just studying their technology. They were improving upon it. The quantum computer in Dr. Lin's lab had already achieved processing speeds that rivaled assembly systems that had taken millennia to perfect. The Progressive Coalition is already calling for full technological exchange. Helix reported, their bioluminescence pulsing with anxiety. They believe humanity could help solve problems that have plagued our civilization for eons and lead to chaos across the galaxy. Zor-Ith countered, their gaseous form darkening. Humans don't just advance quickly, they force change wherever they go. Giving them full access to assembly technology would destabilize the entire galactic order. Nemhex flickered between quantum states, their multiple instances speaking in harmony. Perhaps that's exactly what some factions want. Our civilization has grown stagnant, bound by protocols and traditions. Humanity could be the catalyst for a new era of development. Meanwhile, in a secured lab deep within Europa Station, Elena and her team made a discovery that would reshape the balance of power. They had been studying the quantum communications between alien delegations, and Dr. Lin's new computer had just decoded something extraordinary. They're scared of us, Elena realized, reading through the decoded transmissions. Not because we're dangerous, but because we're unpredictable. Look at this. She highlighted a passage from an assembly report. Every other species follows a linear path of development, building technology in a predictable sequence. But humans, we take shortcuts, James finished, understanding dawning on his face. We make intuitive leaps, develop technologies in parallel, and sometimes skip entire stages of development because we think differently. Mai pulled up more data on her screens. According to these reports, most species took centuries to accept the idea of faster-than-light travel. Their minds needed time to adapt to concepts that violated their traditional understanding of physics. But humans, we've been dreaming about FTL since before we had electricity. Elena smiled. Science fiction prepared our minds for impossible things long before we could achieve them. But their revelation was interrupted by a priority alert. 3 new ships had just emerged from quantum space near Jupiter. Their design was unlike anything they'd seen before, predating even the assembly's earliest records. Venra's crystalline form pulsed with patterns Elena had never seen before. Fear. The precursors, the diplomat whispered. They've awakened. The ancient species that had seeded the galaxy with life eons ago had finally taken notice of humanity's rapid advancement. As their massive ships approached Europa Station, both humans and the assembly realized that everything up to this point had been merely prologue. The true test of humanity's place in the galaxy was about to begin. And no one, not the assembly, not the competing factions, and not even humanity itself, could predict the outcome. The catalyst. The precursor ships hung in space like ancient monoliths, their surfaces covered in patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Europa Station's sensors couldn't maintain a stable lock on them. The vessels appeared to exist partially outside normal spacetime. Elena Rodriguez stood in the emergency command center, surrounded by representatives from both humanity and the assembly. The station's holographic displays showed the precursor ship's position relative to Jupiter, but the readings made no sense. The vessels were simultaneously there and not there, operating on principles that defied conventional physics. They're not responding to any communication attempts, James reported, his voice tense. We've tried every frequency, every mathematical sequence the assembly provided. Because they don't want to talk, Venra interrupted, their crystalline form pulsing with dark colors. The precursors don't communicate with developing species. They observe, judge, and act. That's all they've ever done. Dr. Lin burst into the command center, her tablet displaying complex quantum calculations. Commander, the energy readings from their ships, they're identical to the background radiation we detected in the Europa ice structure. The precursors didn't just seed life in the galaxy. They've been monitoring all of us through a network of quantum observation posts. Before anyone could respond, the space around the precursor ships began to distort. A beam of impossible light connected all three vessels, forming a triangle that encompassed Europa Station. Inside the triangle, space itself seemed to ripple like water. They're creating a temporal observation field. MX existed in 5 places at once now, their quantum state agitated. They want to study humanity's development in accelerated time. What does that mean? Elena demanded, but she already knew the answer would be bad. They're going to subject the station to temporal acceleration. Zor-Eth's gaseous form swirled with anxiety. They'll observe centuries of human development in a matter of hours. Most species go mad when exposed to temporal acceleration. The psychological strain of experiencing time at such speeds. How long do we have before it starts? Elena cut in, her mind already racing with possibilities. Minutes, perhaps, Venray answered. There's nothing we can do. The precursor's technology is beyond even the assembly's understanding. But Elena was already moving. James, get me everything we have on the precursor's quantum field technology. May, I need you to correlate that with your analysis of their observation posts. And someone get me Earth on the quantum comm. Now. The assembly representatives watched in confusion as the humans burst into action. Instead of panicking, they seemed energized by the impossible challenge. Commander, May called out, her fingers flying over her console, the quantum signature of their temporal field. It's similar to the background radiation in their observation posts. If we could replicate that frequency, we could potentially interfere with the field. James finished, already running simulations. But we'd need an enormous amount of power and a way to synchronize multiple quantum generators. Elena was already on the quantum comm with Earth's Defense Council. We need every quantum research facility on Earth to synchronize with us. Yes, I know it's never been done before. That's why it might work. Venra watched in astonishment as humans around the world began coordinating their efforts. Research facilities that had been competing days before now worked in perfect harmony. The assembly representatives exchanged troubled looks. This level of spontaneous cooperation should have been impossible for such an individualistic species. The temporal field is starting to form, Keelix warned, their bioluminescent patterns flashing with alarm. But humanity was ready. As the precursor's field began to envelope the station, every quantum research facility on Earth activated simultaneously. The combined field they generated wasn't elegant or refined like assembly technology. It was raw, powerful, and impossibly complex. It's working. May shouted as her readings showed the temporal field wavering. The chaotic nature of our quantum field is disrupting their perfect synchronization. The precursor ships shifted position, apparently trying to compensate for this unexpected resistance. No species had ever attempted to counter their technology before. The very idea should have been unthinkable. They're adapting their field, James warned. We need more power, more chaos in the system. Elena made a decision that exemplified humanity's unique approach to problems. Release the quantum encryption protocols, she ordered Earth's facilities. Let the fields go random. That's impossible. Venra protested. You'll lose all control. Exactly, Elena smiled. Sometimes the best way to fight perfect order is with perfect chaos. The human quantum generators released their safety protocols, creating a field of pure quantum uncertainty. The precursor's temporal field, based on perfect mathematical precision, couldn't maintain coherence in the face of such deliberate chaos. The massive triangle of light began to flicker and fade. The precursor ships shifted again, their patterns changing rapidly as they encountered something entirely new. A young species that could match their power through sheer unpredictability. As the temporal field collapsed completely, the assembly representatives stared at the humans in shock. They had just witnessed the impossible. Humanity had driven off the precursors using technology they barely understood, coordinating a global response in minutes rather than the years it should have taken. Evolution's wild card. 1 month after the precursor incident, Europa Station 1 had become the site of the largest gathering of alien species in recent galactic history. The station's new quantum-enhanced sensors detected over 300 ships in Jupiter's orbit, representing civilizations from across the galaxy. Inside the station's Grand Assembly Hall, Elena Rodriguez stood before representatives of 1,000 worlds. The Assembly had called this unprecedented meeting to decide humanity's status in the galactic community, but everyone knew they were really there to address a more fundamental question. How would the galaxy adapt to humanity's existence? The evidence is undeniable. Venray addressed the gathered representatives, their crystalline form projecting data into the center of the hall. Humanity's response to the precursors demonstrated capabilities that defy all known patterns of species development. Dr. Lin's quantum computer displayed the analysis in real time, showing how humanity's chaotic quantum field had disrupted the precursors' temporal trap. The assembled aliens murmured in their various languages as they processed the implications. But that's not what truly concerns us, Zor-Ith continued, their gaseous form expanding. In the month since that event, human understanding of quantum mechanics has advanced by approximately 300 years, according to standard development metrics. They're not just learning. They're evolving at an accelerated rate. Elena stepped forward, her calm demeanor masking the weight of the moment. "We understand your concerns," she began, "but perhaps you're looking at this from the wrong perspective. You see our chaos as a threat. We see it as our greatest strength." The holographic displays shifted, showing humanity's history of innovation. "We don't develop in a straight line because we don't think in a straight line," Elena explained. "Where you see disorder, we see possibilities. Where you see risk, we see opportunity." James added his own insights, highlighting key moments in human history. "Our greatest breakthroughs often came from unexpected connections, from combining ideas that shouldn't work together. We call it thinking outside the box, approaching problems from angles that aren't immediately obvious." The Assembly representatives shifted uncomfortably as May demonstrated how humans had already begun improving upon alien technology. Her quantum computer, a hybrid of human intuition and assembly principles, now performed calculations that their own systems found impossible. "You fear will destabilize the galaxy," Elena acknowledged. "But consider this, the precursors left us a message. They didn't destroy us or contain us. They recognized something you're all struggling to accept. Evolution isn't just about steady progress. Sometimes it needs a catalyst for change." Mimics manifested in multiple states, their quantum voice resonating through the hall. The Progressive Coalition agrees. Humanity's chaos brings innovation. Their unpredictability solves problems we've struggled with for millennia. Yes, they're dangerous. But perhaps the galaxy needs a little danger to move forward. The debate raged for hours. Some species advocated for containing humanity, limiting their access to galactic technology. Others saw opportunity in alliance, recognizing that human innovation could help break centuries of technological stagnation. Finally, Venra called for silence. "The Assembly has reached a decision unprecedented in our history. Humanity will be granted full membership in the galactic community, not as a junior species to be guided, but as equals to be partnered with." The announcement sent shockwaves through the gathered representatives. No species had ever been elevated to full status so quickly. But as Elena looked around the room, she saw something beyond fear in the aliens' reactions. She saw curiosity, interest, and even excitement. However, Venra continued, their crystalline form pulsing with complex patterns. "This comes with a unique requirement. Humanity will serve as what we're calling an innovation course within the Assembly. Your chaos will be directed, your creativity channeled to help solve problems that have plagued our civilizations for generations." Elena smiled. The Assembly had found a way to turn what they feared into an asset. "We accept," she said simply. "But we have a condition of our own. Knowledge sharing must be reciprocal. We'll help you innovate, but you must help us understand the consequences of our innovations. We need your wisdom as much as you need our creativity." As the gathered representatives processed this proposal, a new signal appeared on the station's quantum sensors. The precursor observation post beneath Europa's ice had activated again, sending out a pulse of energy that reached every corner of the galaxy. When Dr. Lin decoded it, she found only 4 words. "The experiment proceeds. Watch carefully." Looking out at the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, Elena understood that humanity's real test was just beginning. They had earned their place among the stars not through military might or technological superiority, but through their unique ability to embrace chaos and find opportunity in crisis. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what both humanity and the precursors had intended all along.